Perfect. Hey guys, I need to invite my group to come up with me. As they're getting settled, I'm going to introduce us a little bit. This is how to get your boss to care about email. And this is a classic Brightwave cartoon. If you can't read it, it says, you know, I sometimes think senior management just doesn't respect our email marketing efforts. And the CMO says, we do email marketing? And I mean, arguably your boss knows that you do email marketing because you're here. If not, then where do they think you are? So what we are going to do for today is a little something different. Our goal for today is to give you some information you need to convince your boss to care more about email. And you know, arguably, there are lots of reasons why you can get your boss to care about email. And so we thought, let's argue it. But argue feels a little bit combative. So instead of arguing, we are going to debate. So I would like to introduce you to the 2019 EIQ debate team. We have Mark, I should have been a lawyer, Tally from Roku. We have Vicky, been there, proved that. Chia Petty from Clubcar. There's Allie, trust the accent, Donovan from Box.com. And then I will be turning from moderator to debatist. I'm Jessica, because I said so, Ginberg. I have 2 small children. That comes out of my mouth a lot from Brightwave. And then in the end, we're going to have 2 deciding factors. We have Teresa Caro. Teresa, tell me something I don't know, Caro, from Atlanticus, and then the audience. So we want you to consider, as we're up here putting our arguments, debates to you, you know, who had the best argument? Whose arguments are you going to bring to your boss? Who would your boss pick? And then towards the end of the debate, we're going to have a time where we might get some questions from our boss, as one does. But then we want you guys to vote. So if you go to polleverywhere.com/EIQ2019, there will be a poll at the end of the debate. Please don't vote for your favorites till we all have a chance to go. You might change your mind, and I don't think you can vote twice. So with that, we are going to start.
Good morning. All right, so I'm going to be talking about platforms, why do they matter, and why we need a good one. All right, so last year in 2018, Roku saw some great growth. We saw a 20% increase on the engagement on our Roku channel. It's our channel that we really run advertising on, so it's a huge revenue generator, and email was part of driving that engagement. Also in 2018, towards Q4, we sell technology, as you saw the player giveaway. We saw a 32% attribution to the audio, which was first in class that we released last year, and player sales were attributed to email. On a third pillar for us for email, it's paid email or paid sponsored emails. So if you guys ever stream DirecTV Now or Sling, we sell emails to them, and you know, for cost per delivery, and we generated $8 million in revenue last year for that. So in 2019, so I actually went through this exercise for real with the senior vice president and product. For us, 3 of our goals, and I will attribute it to the ones on the right, are what maps to the ROI. So the number 1 goal for us is better reporting. So we need to attribute every dollar, every hour streamed, every minute streamed to an email campaign, to an ad campaign, so we can kind of justify the increase, in, you know, at least in funding or OpEx for the program. We want to also get a little bit more efficient. So for us, it's triggers and automations. We want to start doing some API-driven stuff. Right now, we're rolling out a new thing, if any of you guys are Roku users, where it's a premium subscription. So we're housing Showtime, we're housing HBO within the Roku channel. And we want to be able to do an API-driven email to say, hey, thanks for signing up. Your free trial ends in a week. You know, then you pay X amount a month. So like, we want to get to that automated state where it's not manual. Personalization is also key. So we do know who watches what on the Roku channel. We have a ton of data in the BDP, big data platform. And we want to start targeting to that. So if you like cowboy westerns, you know, it's like we want to be able to send something to you to what you like or what you watch or what you stream. So right now, I joined the team last year in May. and I went through kind of a discovery period of what the state of the org was and what the state of the vendors were. So for us, I know just tracking over the past couple years that OpEx has increased, so the cost for the email program from the vendor side has increased. I think it's 10% every year for the past couple years. We've got significant issues, some of which are like just, I mean, I was shocked by this, but seeing something that was 2 minutes, excuse me. When we were doing, let's say, 8 segments, we have to do 8 versions of an email so we can track that segment data. It seemed 2002 to me, you know, that we could do better. Some of the other issues that I just actually encountered was there's no SLAs. So I've got a 3% failure rate on an API connection to send transactional messages that are legally obligated. You know, that's a huge failure for us. And of course, there's no active monitoring for blocks. We actually stumbled into that July last year, which resulted in almost a semi-permanent hold for like 7 million customers out of our database. So some of the other limitations, it takes up to one of my campaign managers, 25% of their time is manually pulling together and aggregating reporting, which I find to be excessive, especially in the 21st century. So creative has, like I mentioned, with the duplicating creatives to track segments. Whoops. Now you got to use the red button to go back. And the overall vendor system doesn't fit well. They're kind of like, hey, we are who we are, deal with it. And of course, there is no service component to this, which is kind of disturbing. I've used another provider who should remain nameless that had an amazing service branch that I didn't have to go out to consultancies to help piece together the puzzle. So basically, my needs are, we're going to see 25% year-over-year growth. The database is growing. We build a lot of stuff internally. We need to be able to have a solution that does that fits what we're doing. For me, if any ESPs are out here, you've got 2 weeks to convince me, but I'm going to be pursuing an RFP at the end of Q1, so at the end of March, an RFP will be issued for a new provider. So my ask of my executive officer is, can we not partition some of the gross profit that we're seeing from the paid email campaigns to allow us the flexibility in OpEx to pick the right vendor for what we need to do in 2019 and moving forward? Oh, hold on, one more. And, sorry guys, I forgot my quote. So if any of you have ever had to present to a chief data officer or CMO, just remember, everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. They're only people, bring the facts, bring the data, make the argument. Thank you. Vicki.
You make that sound so simple, Mark. Well, thanks for the great setup, because without the platform, you really can't send email. So we're going to talk about brand awareness and engagement. A long time ago, who can remember their first email? Yeah, special moments, wasn't it? Okay, so AOL brought us that special service back in the day, complete with hash sounds, dial-up modems, and that phrase, you got mail. So that started a trend with email marketing, that you were talking to me, being individual in my mailbox. We were excited as hell to have somebody talking to us that we might know. So the companies out there, didn't take long for them to say, we should be talking to our customers this way. So there I was, Kohl's 2001, a Blue Martini e-commerce platform, stalling, going long, over budget, and Blue Martini felt so bad about this. They said, here, we're working on this email marketing platform, and they gave it to us for free. And so I raised my hand, I said, I'll figure out the SMTP stuff and how to do this, and the first year I made them $64 million. They kind of loved me. I got a business card holder, people owned islands, I got a business card holder, it's pretty cool. But, so $64 million, you would think easy peasy, now we got money. But what I didn't know is that I needed to go against point of sale, catalogs, direct mail, every other traditional marketing medium out there, and say this is what we need to fund, because I needed templates and graphic designers, and then a little bit of reputation score management, and all the things that came out of nowhere at us as email marketers. So I've been doing this a long time. And I realized the way to talk to the C-level, where the oxygen's a little thinner, and they look at Excel sheets in their sleep, is with data. So data wins with the story of putting the brand out there and then taking on market share. 80% of retailers report that email marketing is their strongest driver. Customers that are on your email list will spend 140% more than those that are not. Millennials love to have email. They can check it when they have. Promotions, welcome mail say, I get you, and it's more relevant. And across the board, email marketing is still the preferred channel of messaging. So the pitch. Now, everybody's got a unique pitch out there, and this is about knowing your audience. Ask at the right time. No one ever got the car keys from dad when he was having a bad day at work or a fight with mom. Learn where to play and where to win. Know those goals, and that's how you introduce your brand and what you need to do to get out there. Speak with conviction and passion. Everybody I've talked to today has that same passion of email marketing. It's awesome to be part of this. Know the company's weaknesses and how you can turn that around with an email marketing program. Know the company's goals, fiscal and brand. Brand goals for this particular segment is about getting the brand out there in front of and whatever your chief competitor is. Keep it short and direct. Know when to stop talking, something I'm learning. And then go the extra 5K and be awesome. So email builds brand awareness when you're relevant, memorable, and timely. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? You talk to people on a one-on-one level. We've heard that several times today. And then you have customers who are happy, loyal, and look forward to your brand. Still shows. This chart is in variations on a theme today. Email marketing is the most effective channel. Now, you need all of that else in a cocktail mix. Not a Bloody Mary, wherever he is. But at the end of the day, email marketing is one of its key channels for driving brand awareness and engagement with your customers, but be relevant. If you want to be profitable this year, it's about creating more leads. It's about building who you have on that list with intimacy and being relevant. It's a simple word. So, our ecosystem, who doesn't have this channel scarred in the back of their retinas by now, right? So, you cannot build a single marketing funnel and take the audience through a predefined step-by-step. It's about touching your customer in various channels at the right time, and email marketing provides one of the most powerful tools encouraging long-term brand interactions. So, takeaway, be memorable, be kind. Email creates a chance to reach loyal customers regularly and directly. Thank you. Oh, yeah,
Thanks. I've got some tough competition up here. And apologies, my accent is less trust me, I'm British today than I swallowed a frog. I also haven't been trusted with the adult mic system, so we'll see how this goes. So I'm here to convince you guys that we basically just need to show our C-suite, show them the money. And we all know that email equals revenue and revenue equals ROI. So there, I'm done. Ooh. Okay, so it's not really quite that easy. But one of the things that I think marketers have a very interesting reputation for is that we claim all of the money from all aspects of our channels, and when you add up every single channel, somehow your company made 3 times the amount that the balance sheet shows that you did. It's happened to me a few times. So one of the things that I want to prove to all of you and our lovely boss down there, it's always good to flatter your boss, is that we're attributing our revenue very honestly. So the way we're attributing it is based on opens. And I know a lot of you would say, well, you know, an open's pretty high up in the email funnel. And the reason we're using opens is because that's where we see people taking action. You could open the email, and then you go to a different channel, and you might convert that way. Every time we send an email, we see spikes in organic, in social. People read their emails, and that's what made the decision, and then for some reason they go and search Google. But never mind. And then the timing. There's a whole range of different timings that you could use to attribute email. We use a 6-hour window after you open that email. And yes, I know that's really short, and it's going to depend on what market you're in and who your customer is. The reason we chose 6 hours was we did a control analysis, and we saw that almost all of the revenue that's going to come in will come in within that 6-hour period. Basically, we send emails about toilet paper, and you either know if you need toilet paper or you don't. It's not a sexy product, but you need it. But I also want to prove to you, hopefully now that you believe that we're being very honest, that we're really affecting top-line sales, because that's what the business is really caring about. So every time we send an email, you'll see in this lovely chart, my sales, we get a lovely little spike. And if we send a really big, really good email, we get a really big spike. And every time we don't do something, you'll see we return back to a baseline. So email is really affecting the sales on a day-to-day basis. And we'll also see that other channels will see the same spikes when we send the emails, the same way that we do from just opens. So I also want to prove to you, now that we know that we're being very honest, that we're making top-line sales, that more email is more incremental money. We're not just taking this money from elsewhere. So where is this money coming from? We see it coming from changing the conversion rate on our new customers, preventing customers that would lapse or have lapsed, getting them to come back, money that we wouldn't have otherwise, increasing AOV on the customers that we already have and who would purchase without us, or making people come back more frequently and shop with us again. We're changing customer behavior, and that's what marketing really should be about, and email marketing in particular. We're changing the way people would act if we did not exist. And as I like to tell the rest of my company, we do more than send seasonal campaigns. It's about more than fluffy Easter bunnies and Christmas trees. And so this is a picture of my actual boss. I like to embarrass him wherever I can. This is Che. So Che comes to me and says, how much do you need for email this year? And my response is, how much money would you like to make this year? Because the more money you need us to make, we'll make. But the more money you want, it's going to cost you more money. So if he comes to me and says, I need $10 million from you, we're going to go and we're going to figure out every single way that we could break down the different segments, the different strategies, and figure out which is going to have the highest ROI, which is going to be the most efficient for us, what's going to have the best costs. Some of those costs, they're going to be things like increasing headcount. Sometimes you just need someone to sit there, play with the tools, optimize them, test, learn, and iterate. Sometimes you're going to be asking for a new tool. A new personalization tool might actually be cheaper than trying to convince your data science and your engineering team to create those models that you need to pull in your personalized recommendations. Sometimes it's just coupon budget. We don't want to create bad habits, but sometimes coupons work, and it can really change user behavior. So we're going to put all of that together and come up with our recommendations of the best way that we can make our company hit its goals. However, we do know that every channel has its place. And retention is a much lower cost than acquisition. So we really do need to focus on that if we want to keep growing long term. And email is great for some things, right? We can target people that opted in. We can send long form content. We can contact you as many times a day as we need to, if you engage with us. But there are also kind of problems with it. If you opt out, if you stop engaging with us. And that's where we need the partners in other channels to really help us so that we can create a consistent strategy across all of the retention. Because no one's looking at your email program and saying, oh, Boxed email is different from the Boxed website. They're seeing us as one company. We need to sound as one sane voice and work together. So yes, email may have the best ROI, and we may be kind of the king of channels, but we need to really work with all of those partners and figure out what channel a customer wants to be communicated in to give them the best experience. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to have to move from my table a little bit because I can't see because I'm too short. Okay, so thank you for setting me up so well because I want to talk to you guys about data. So I think that email is the best channel because it really is a data just smorgasbord. You can have structured data, you can have metadata, you can have unstructured data. Everything in the email is data, from our audience list to the way that they interact. Everything that we ever want to know about our customers are in our email campaign. And so I'm going to take you through about kind of how I think data can help with that. So who is my customer? Well, data can tell you that. I can tell you from an email where your customers are. I can find customer trends in your data. I can tell you that the Northeast acts differently than the Southwest because of looking at how they interact with our campaigns. I'm able to tell you that customer ID 4369 looks a lot like customer ID 5726. And 5726 just bought this one product, so let's go ahead and give it to 4369 and see if they convert. I can also tell you what your customers are interested in. So when we're looking at sales, when we're looking at campaigns, we're looking at products to feature on the e-commerce website, let's look and see what's playing in the email channel. Where are people clicking? Where are people spending their most time on click-through on site? Are they reading that blog? Do they like a recipe or do they like a sale? Do they like insider content or do they like a backstage pass? Data can help tell us that. And when you're considering, all right, my boss, when you're considering your next sale and you want to know where to place your bets for the discount and how much money you need to make, I can look at last year's results, look at the click-through rate, and tell you, okay, here's where we start losing money on that offer, and here's where we should really place our bets for revenue. Again, data can tell me what's not working so well. Maybe last year's product doesn't play well anymore. Nobody's clicking on it in an email and it's not selling on the website. That's a trend we should follow. If we start to see things slip in email, maybe it's time for that sale. Maybe let's get the inventory out, put it with a good, deep offer. All of this can be told with me with the data about how people are interacting with our campaigns. We need artificial intelligence. I don't disagree with you. I would also say that data really powers that. So we're going to need to make sure that we have unstructured data. We put it into clusters. We look for trends and segments. We can look for propensity models with artificial intelligence in our data science team. Who looks like they're about to convert? Who just converted, and how do we find lookalikes? All of this is working with our data, assuming it's clean, because everybody has clean data, right? And everyone's talked about the other channels, and I agree. Nobody needs just email. We need more than just email, but email is a great channel for tests. I mean, you can look for halo effects in email. Maybe you want to upsell people, but you're worried that the price will scare them. Put the lower price in the email and see if that can create a halo effect where people upgrade once they click through. You just want people to click from the email, and they're not buying from email yet. And so let's give them that hook to get them to the site. Other people, we can retarget from email based on open or not open. We can look at your audience and find them on social media platforms or paid marketing. And also, you can fill the funnel with email with paid media. Run a Facebook ad. Send them a personalized welcome campaign where they came from. All of this is data, and email can help power and be a really good partner for everyone else. Okay, so how did we do, right? You sent a sale. How did we perform? Well, that's data. Data is performance. Your open and click-through rate tell you your audience engagement. Your attribution tells you how much you made. All of this is data. So we can tell you how your performance went just by looking at the results. Okay, what's the catch, right? It sounds great. Is it too good to be true? Sometimes, we have these things called the mines. You want to get all of this data and it crashes a system, or your advanced analytics team has to pull from 3 different databases to find your segments, and you don't have access to them because IT has governed them for too long, and it's a mess. And then also, there's that whole compliance friend of ours who wants to worry about people's personalized offers, and honestly, as a marketer, I don't care what your email address is. I just want to know how you're acting. So give everybody, anonymize the data, give everyone a customer ID, make sure that we can be respectful of our databases, but also be able to use them. Okay, so what should we do? Well, I think we should get a CDP, and I think that it's going to let us have the opportunity to really work with our data, find the personalization, individualization offers and opportunities that we can do, and it really will give us the playing ground that we need. So I hear this all the time. I'm not saying my boss sends it, but I've heard it. Send an e-blast. God, I hate that. Data cannot do that. We cannot do that. But, okay, send a targeted email campaign. Sure, no problem. And you know what? I already know what to put in it because data. So knowledge is power, friends. Use it. Get your data. And now I'm a moderator again. So our boss is going to have questions. We're going to have Teresa come up and ask us some questions. The poll should be up. Feel free to vote now, I guess, but we will rebut our questions. Maybe we can convince you to change your vote based on what she asked.
All right, Mark.
Yes, yes, yes.
You've only just gotten here. We've known these guys forever. In fact, the CEO just got me on Augusta the other day. Why can't we just renegotiate the contract?
Well, we just went through a contract renegotiation in December and January, which was, in my experience of doing this for years, one of the worst contract negotiations. So The vendor that is in question, to remain nameless, they don't actually want to negotiate our terms. We actually struck out Return Path from their system because they were unwilling to have terms in there to cover us for a breach. So, you know, they're not willing to negotiate.
That's such a shame. I'm going to miss those rounds of golf. You want a certain amount of money to be able to look. Is there other ways that we can cut the budget? Say, look deeper into our staff. Why can't we do reporting in-house?
Well, we're actually moving to migrate the reporting into Looker dashboards to allow the marketers to self-serve. So less of my guys actually cobbling together spreadsheets and reports to do that. The problem is we're a little resource constrained, as many of us probably are. And we only have one engineering resource and one email PM resource. So we figured what we're doing is we've got a priority list, Looker dashboards #1, and then we're going to work down the list for the remainder of the year.
All right, interesting. Well, we'll see what the rest of the board out here thinks about your answers. All right, Vicki.
Hold on.
The spam thing. You talk about brand awareness and spam. Isn't someone first time getting to know us? Do we really want to email them?
Well, we're a permission-based marketer. We're an opt-in company rather than opt-out.
Oh, that's
So that's true, relevancy. So if you've signed up for our information, we keep our data list clean. If we haven't opened, we put you in a nice little special folder as a win-back campaign. But we want to make sure that connection is honest, sincere, and serving you exactly what you want. So spam is in the eye of the beholder. Spam's in a can, spam's here. But, you know, reputation scores, all those things. But at the end of the day, we watch your data. Again, all of this is a nice mix that what we do, but I make sure that we are staying relevant, our open and click is through, and more importantly, we are adherent to our, I would say, our brand reputation.
all right, good point. That 140% stat you had around engagement, tell me a little bit more about that.
It's actually 160, but who cares, right?
160%.
Just making it up
40,
as we go along.
60.
Okay,
Just
so
a few basis
so
points.
if anything, email works. It makes you click through. It makes you on top of the brand if you are doing our messaging right, and take lessons from those who failed at that. You know, you would be always clicking through at the time in which they want to purchase. So that 140 can be 160. Throw on a couple holidays and a couple promotions. The world is your oyster with hot sauce.
My favorite.
Okay.
All right, fantastic. Allie, you talked about honesty and proving. How are you proving that email reduces lapsed customers, increases AOV, all of those stats that you had on that subsequent slide? The sales slide was spot on, I got it. But what about all those other stats? How can you prove it with everything else that's going on?
Sure. So we use two different methods. One, we look at baselines. So we'll compare a baseline time period for the same segment against another time period where we did a test, and we'll look for the differences. It's an okay way of doing it, but what we try to do is hold out control groups. So we'll take a portion of the segment, we won't show them the email or the program of emails, and then we'll look for the differences. And it's really interesting because we see the differences not just in revenue, but it can be in other behaviors. Frequency, the amount they spend in each purchase, even how much they unsubscribe.
Interesting. That's an amazing amount of data, and I'll get to you in a moment. Now, you also own SMS and push messages. How do I know you're not coming back to me tomorrow to ask for budget for those guys?
Yeah, so one of the trends that we've seen and kind of in the whole email industry as a whole is that it's really been changing to retention teams rather than email teams or CRM teams. And that's because no one's really thinking about just one channel. We want to think as a customer. You know, we used to have different channels in different platforms, and honestly, we sounded a little crazy. You might get $10 off in one channel and $5 off in the next because we couldn't talk to each other. So we've brought everything together, and the idea of having one budget, one team, is that we're going to talk to you in the way that you want to be talked to in. Hopefully, we're going to stay relevant, we're going to use our data, and we're going to make some money that way.
So we may be at an email conference, but really you're asking for all your touch points.
I just like money, yeah.
Me too.
More money, please.
All right, Jess. You know, we already track that data already. You know, George over in analytics, I get that report every day. What makes you different?
Yeah, I mean, I love George. I think he's great. But what George can't do is turn those results into an actual campaign. So he can't look at the unsubscribe rates and decide that he wants to do a drip campaign to re-engage people. He can't look and tell you, and he might be able to give you some ideas for how a promotion will work, but he won't be able to really tell you what your audience looks like right now and what your send count looks like and compare it to the open rate and know really who's going to see it. So George is great, and I love his data, but I want to be able to actually do something with it.
Well, and then there's Frances over at IT. She's telling me about this data warehouse where we have 20 years of data. Why can't you use that?
Yeah, Francis is super busy. So I don't know if y'all know anything about IT, but they are always slammed. They have something going on all the time, and email is never a priority like it is for me. So a CDP lets the marketer use it. It lets me do that personalization, customization. You're not going to lose the data, but we're going to actually be able to have it tangible and, like marketable and actionable if you can give us our own little playground.
All right, interesting. Good perspective, guys. All right, boardroom. What do you guys think? Do we play music?
Oh, we've got some early results.
You guys,
We got some early results. Oh,
See, I told you.
I don't
Come
know.
on, guys. I
don't
need
think
it.
I'm allowed to
wow,
win.
the prediction
need a
is
support
coming
group.
true.
Okay, I feel like
get
most of
nasty.
the room, this feels pretty straight. So we do have a prize for our winner. It's not me.
I'm gonna cry
Is the
myself.
moderator allowed to win?
I put a presentation together like everybody else. I feel like I could win if I wanted to.
All right, Allie, the board has spoken. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice job.
And thank y'all for attending the first ever EIQ debate 2019. We hope you enjoyed the change in content. So thanks.